right, what do you say? Let's go for a tootle. You're so noisy. All right, let's see how we did. That sounds nice. Sounds more like Ava. I'm going to venture to say we're close, but not spot on with the tuning on the carburetors, but that's okay, because we needed to warm it up anyways. I couldn't have ordered better weather, though. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous out. Yeah, it sounds a lot smoother. So all we're trying to do is just get the engine warmed up so we can tune the carburetors properly. They really need to be, it needs to be at pretty much operating temperature. Otherwise you'll end up tuning them while they're cold to be cold, and then they won't run properly when they actually get warm. So up here, I'm going to pull over real quick like a bunny and twiddle the little air bleeds back there and see how close we are now that we've got a bit more heat in the engine. Boy, it sure does sound good down there, huh? All right, so let's see what we've got. I'll start on the left side, doesn't matter where you start. Just see if we can get a little closer on the tune. Well, I didn't want to bore you and go through all 4 cylinders, but it's just like what we did on our initial tune. Just rolling them in and waiting for the RPM to drop, rolling them back out, waiting for the RPM to drop, and then just rolling them back in until the RPM comes back up again. And that's pretty much that. Turn one more open. It's actually, I think it's tuned really well. I think now we can just think about balancing the carburetors, but it sure sounds pretty good back there. Oh, what a difference those plug wires made. Oh my gosh. So we have a good idle at this point, and I want to go ahead and check the flow on each one of the carburetors and see where we are. All right, on this side we see it just running up and down through the black mark there, sometimes peaking at the bottom of it, sometimes just right there. Okay, now on this side we're a bit low, so we're going to run this up just a bit. And what I'm doing is turning up the idle screw just ever so slightly, and like just a few degrees at a time. All right, that looks pretty good. We're somewhere in the middle there. Just a smidge more. There we go. See how we are on the other side here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That's right about where it was on the other side. Anything just a hair off. God, it's so sensitive. Okay, so there we go. It feels pretty good to me. All right, great. Now that we have them both balanced left to right with the throttle linkages off, now we want to put the throttle linkages back on to make sure that it's not affecting our adjustment at all. We'll put these guys back up. Boom. Okay, great. I'll go back and double check again. Right where we were, just cresting the black mark. And there we go, just cresting the black mark. That's great. That means our throttle linkage isn't pushing down on either one of the carburetors. Now the next trick is to get this thing rolled up to about 2,500 or almost 3,000 RPM and check the flow as well. That'll tell us if our linkage lengths are correct or not. Alright, there's 2,500. It falls just below the black mark there, 2,500. Over here on this side. 2,500, it's a little bit high. There's 2,500, and we're just about, we're still a little bit high on this side. Try it again. 2,500 it is. Right about there. We're getting there. We're still a little high though. Down just a little bit more. Double check it over here on the other side. 2,500, right about, yep, right about there. Well, I had to go back and forth a few times on that right carburetor, but it dawned on me, I'll bet you're wondering just how I can tell how fast that engine is going. Well, I can look over the hood there and see the tachometer on the dash. So once I get it close to 2,500 RPM, then I look down at my little sight glass and look for my little red ball there and see exactly where it is. Well, that took a bit of back and forth, but I think we finally got it. The idle sounds really solid too. I want to lock this down. We'll go and double check our idle and make sure that our throttle linkage hasn't messed anything up at this point. Pretty good. Our idle is a tad high, but it's right about the point in which the generator light is turning off at idle. So that's about as low as I think I want to go. Takes up the power really nicely. That sounds pretty sweet actually. All right, I think that's good. Before I get started on the oil change, I want to take a look at just where do we have a lot of surface oil. And we can see it kind of dripping off the side, the rear side of the engine here. And we see that tin up there is awfully shiny as well, the black tin. And also we've got some drips here that are running along the bottom of this cover. Now this is just a cover for the full flow oil filter, just to keep it away from the muffler there. But do you see all of the oil there on the muffler as well? Take a look at that. Now look at this. Look, there's just, it's hot of course, but there's quite a bit of oil up there. And with all this oil that's here as well, I'm guessing it's not coming from the oil filter or a gasket up here, just because it's a little too wet here. What I'm thinking, after seeing that the tin up here is also a little bit wet and schmutzy up there, I'm guessing that maybe the pulley seal is not so great, and the oil is dripping down onto this oil filter here and ending up on the muffler. That would be my guess. The rest of this is sort of standard 356 action here. We've got our screen pan there that really doesn't need to be changed very often at all. And with this full flow oil filter that we've got here, we're not going to need to touch that screen really. It's really more for just sludge, and there shouldn't be any. There's our drain plug. So we're going to get to that. Go ahead and drain everything. Something you may have noticed is that the dipstick is actually up here on this mounting bracket. That seems like a funny place for that thing, huh? It doesn't go in the engine, it's just sitting in here. And even weirder, why is there actually a place for it? Huh, that's kind of interesting as well, huh? Well, this car has a really cool aftermarket little dipstick on it. So this is actually the dipstick, and look at this, it's got a little temperature gauge on it, and you can pull it out, and it even does have, it's even got the notches there for you to check the oil level. Isn't that cool? So it's a thermometer and also a dipstick. Kind of neat. So if you use something like this, which is really cool, then you're going to need some place to put the original dipstick. With everything under the car all buttoned up, next up is going to be to put in the oil. So after 3 quarts, we're right up at the top mark, but remember, we have 2 empty oil filters. We have the one at the top here is empty, and the full flow at the bottom is empty as well. So at this point, I think I'm just going to start the engine, let it run for just a few seconds or so, just to get the oil flowing through the entire engine, and then we'll go back and we'll add some more oil. There it goes, our oil light went out.
A few moments later.
All right, that should do. Let's recheck our dipstick here. Expect it to be a bit lower. Yep, quite a bit. It says we're a quart low. So let me go ahead and add enough to bring it up to the second mark. We'll start and run it again after that. Let it run a little bit longer just to make sure, you know, it takes a while to kind of fill all this stuff up. I just want to make sure that I've got it in the right spot. So let me go ahead and put another almost a full quart in and see where we are. There we go, right at the top mark. I think we're just where we need to be. What I want to do at this point is go ahead and start the engine again and let it run a little bit longer this time. Just make sure everybody's all filled up. Looking underneath here, looks like we're all dry. Our drain plug back there looks good and dry, and our full flow oil filter looks like it's not leaking either. Well, I think that's long enough. Let's go ahead and shut it off and just be certain on our oil level. Check again for leaks. All looks really good. No leak at the top or around the seam at all. That looks good. And our oil filler isn't leaking either, so that looks really good too. All right, let's check our oil dipstick here. And look at that, right at the mark. I think that looks great. Well, that's the oil change on the Speedster here. Pretty simple, huh? They make it really simple for you because they really would rather you changed your oil. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below. We've got lots more videos coming up for this car. And I'm gonna ask the owner about that rear seal on the pulley there, on the crankshaft seal. Seems to be leaking, and just sort of get his take on that, see what he wants to do. Maybe, you know, that'd be kind of fun. So at any rate, thank you so much for watching, and a special thanks to our Patreon supporters. So until next time, safe travels. Bye.